I want to talk about the very difficult transits that this beautiful woman, Mica Miller, was experiencing leading up to April 27th, the day that she unfortunately took her own life. If you don't know, this is Mica Miller. She was 30 years old, and apparently she was having a really difficult time, particularly within her marriage in the past few years. And one of the reasons I want to talk about this is because this recent transit, which is Saturn conjunct Sun, occurred became exactly on April 23rd, right before she took her life. And while everyone experiences this transit at different times, one of the reasons I often talk about what I call the cosmic gauntlet for people between the ages of 27 and 30 is because this is a very difficult period of time when we're looking at your progressed lunar return, nodal reversal, and then your Saturn return. And then when you have a transit like she just recently had, starting with Saturn conjunct her Sun on top of the previous years, culminating in all of those very difficult transits, um, people can really have a difficult time. So this is Micah's birth chart on the inside with the transits on April 27th. I put 2:56 p.m. That's about the time when she took her life. But what I want to show you is some of the things that are going on in her chart. First, you'll notice that she has a Pisces stellium. She's got Sun, Venus, Mars, and Saturn in Pisces. So she is really, you can tell looking at the videos, a very sweet person. A lot of times Pisces do have trouble grounding and wanting to be here. They're very expansive and spiritual and artistic. And so anyway, I don't really want to go into that, but what I do want to show you is that she had just recently this year had her Saturn return, as you can see, transiting Saturn at 16 degrees and natal Saturn at 4 degrees of Pisces. And so that is often, a lot of people know about Saturn return. It's a time where you're ending a 30-year cycle and you come to reckoning with things that have happened in your life up to that point. And a lot of times it comes with additional duties, responsibilities, hard lessons, and you start reevaluating the period of time before then. The next thing, though, is that it was April 23rd, Saturn moved to the same degree as her Sun, so that's Saturn conjunct Sun. And that can be a very difficult transit because the Sun relates to our ego, our will, our sense of purpose in this life, our whole sense of being. And then you have Saturn, a planet related to boundaries, restriction, rules, authority. And a lot of times things going away, it can feel like your very being is being constricted. And a lot of times people feel alone. Saturn can bring a lot of depression. And so this became exact just a few days before she took her life. And so that's one thing, especially if you know people who have Pisces, a lot of Pisces placements right now with Saturn transiting through there, or especially if they have a stellium in addition to Saturn there, because not only do you have the previous few years of what I talked about before and the Saturn return, if you have personal planets that Saturn's going to be touching upon, this can be a very difficult and lonely period of time. Another thing that I wanted to show you that shows how much more intense this transit was for her is something that I've recently been learning more about, is minor periods and ascensional times. It's another ancient timing technique. And that is because you remember I told you she had Sun, Venus, Mars, and Saturn in Pisces. Well, these planets were activated in her chart starting in June of 2024, and it was going through another period to June of this year. You can see the ones that I have highlighted in red. So that's the Sun, Venus, and Mars that are activated, and their ruler is activated, and so this goes into her ascendant ruler. Jupiter was also activated, and there's some other transits that I won't go into in this video that are activated. And then I also do think that Mercury, with the transit from Jupiter conjunct Uranus that we recently had, I think that had a lot probably to do with it as well. And so I just want to express to you why it is important to keep up with the cycles in your life, because when you're having tough times, particularly, it can help you to understand even more what's going on. I'm not saying even that it would keep someone from taking their own lives, but it really does go a lot toward self-understanding and understanding that a lot of times we go through periods and that things are always changing. So my deep condolences to family and friends of Micah.